Hey everybody, I have two videos today that I've been meaning to record, but only time to record one of them. So we're gonna smush them into a mega video. Video one, this is a chunk of pure iron. It's like 99.99% iron. It's not steel, it's iron. And I wanted to do some experiments with this material because it's brand new to me. It's something I've never machined before, and I have the opportunity to play with it, so I will. Video number two. There's been a lot of changes to my shop and my life and everything recently, and I was going to give you kind of a general shop update. Actually, one quick clarification. If you look at my shop, at a surface view, it really doesn't look that different than it was a year ago. I still have the Haas office mill and the Tormach 1500. The fact that it hasn't actually changed more or faster is kind of the reason I'm making this video, but we'll get there. So I'm very much stealing this video format from Alex Steele. He's another YouTuber who's much better than I am. Go watch him. He's a blacksmith. First thing he does when he tests out new materials is file them. So let's see how it files. It's actually a little bit harder than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be more like aluminum or copper, I guess. It is definitely harder than those materials. It does file very nicely. Honestly, not that different than something like 1018. Maybe a little bit softer. Maybe a lot a bit softer, but it's definitely not aluminum. It's still in the realm of like a steel. This is also probably a pretty fine pitch file to be doing this experiment with, but it does file nicely. How does it belt sander? It grinds pretty nicely. This is an awfully worn out belt on here, but it does belt sander about like you would expect steel to. All right, what about bench grinder? Some nice sparks. It cut pretty fast and made some orange sparks. Again, not too different than a mild steel. All right, how about a Scotch-Brite wheel? I'm not sure how much you can tell, but it feels like it buffed up faster than steel would, which makes sense, again, if it's a little bit softer. I happen to already have a pair of soft jaws that was exactly the right size. So that is in there, and now we can make parts out of it. But first, let's take a second to talk about the shop. So I mentioned that I have basically the same equipment as I did at the beginning of the year, and that is because I put myself on a spending hold for 2025. There's a few different reasons for that, but one of the big ones is that I just wasn't using what I had as efficiently as I could be. And while buying new machines and new equipment and other shiny objects is definitely the most fun way and the most like YouTube impressive way of growing my shop, it is not the most financially efficient way of doing so. So I declared a spending hold. Obviously, I was still spending money on tooling and materials, and like I did buy a new 3D printer, but in terms of capital investments for the shop, I purchased very little. I'm sure I spent a little bit of money on some like tool holders and some metrology equipment, but for the most part, I invested very little back into the shop this year. Instead of spending money on tools and equipment, I just put all of my effort into refining my systems and processes, and it has made a world of difference. My shop runs so much better now than it did at the beginning of the year. In fact, in October, I hit my all-time best ever month ever for the history of the shop, and I did it in about 2 weeks. And I didn't even realize it was happening until it had already happened. My shop and my processes and my systems have improved so much that I am accidentally beating records that I worked really hard for at the end of last year. One of the goals I set last year was double the income for half the work, and I am happy to say I have accomplished that. I don't think I hit all of my goals for last year. There's still not a robot there, which we might talk about later. But the big goal, double the income, half the work, I have definitely accomplished. In fact, I think I've more than doubled my income. Yeah. And while doing so, my amount of stress has plummeted. This year has actually been pretty good for me. I've had stressful moments, but as a whole, averaging out the whole year, it's been a pretty darn good year. I've gotten to enjoy my time in the shop better. I've gotten to spend more time with family, and it's just moving in the right direction. Did I give up some growth with the spending hold? Absolutely. But it would have been top line revenue growth, not bottom line revenue growth. I could have spent more money on equipment and done more work to make the same amount of money or less. And while I am about as open and honest as I can be with you guys don't get to see everything in my life, and there is some stuff that is outside the scope of this channel that needed a lot of money. And so I used a lot of the money on that instead of on the shop. There's also a little bit less of a need for a super well built out shop thanks to Subtract. Ken, don't judge me too much for this, okay? But this right here is Subtract. This is a server. Okay, actually most of Subtract is in the cloud, but this is at least a portion of Subtract. My point is, it's a software company, at least for the most part. Unless you listen to my podcast, you probably don't know a whole lot about Subtract. I've mentioned it a few times in these videos, but never did a full explainer. So here we go. Subtract, it's kind of like Xometry. When you really get down to it, it's the same business model. We are taking parts from customers and then dividing them out to our network of shops. The difference is how we handle everything and how we're building the business. Xometry has some fundamental problems with how their business is set up. One, they are a huge company with a huge amount of overhead. Two, they are a huge company with a lot of investors and a lot of debt. And those two things force them to make some decisions that I don't want to make. For example, if you look at their investor statements, they say very clearly that their strategy is to bring on as many machine shops as possible to improve their profits. The more shops that Xometry has competing over jobs, the lower the price on those jobs is going to be, which means Xometry makes more money. The downside of that is as prices get pushed down by having more shops, the good shops go and leave. I could keep talking about Xometry for a while, but that's not the point. Xometry is doing the best with what they can. There's some really good people there, but their business model is a little bit flawed, and it leads to low quality parts and shops that are unhappy. Subtract's goal is to change that. And basically, our biggest thing is we are tying the amount of shops to the amount of work. And we are making sure that all the shops on our network have the amount of work that they want. And if we have more work than the shops want, we'll add more shops. If we don't have enough work for all the shops, we won't add any shops, and we'll spend more money on advertising and sales and et cetera to bring in more work for those shops. So we are tying our number of shops to our sales. We also reward shops if they make parts for a customer and that customer comes back to us. They get first dibs on that job from the repeat customer, and they also get a bonus. So they are motivated to keep the customers happy. We also pay our shops way better than Xometry does. Subtract is a very small company. Right now it's me, Jacob, Josh, and Scott. So our overhead is pretty small. You saw our server. Other than some cloud hosting, this is basically our entire infrastructure. Subtract doesn't need to make millions and millions of dollars just to handle the debt that we have. We can grow slowly at the speed of cash, keeping our shops happy, keeping our customers happy. And so far, that's been working pretty well. Subtract has actually been profitable since our very first month. Are we a huge company yet? No. Will we ever be? I hope so. Right now, I haven't taken any money from Subtract. All of my income comes from Audacity and teaching. But Subtract, I think in the long term, will be the bigger thing that I'm doing. And because of that, I'm spending about 20 hours a week right now on Audacity Micro. It's kind of why my videos have slowed down a bit. Therefore, my machines are very much not my bottleneck. It is me. Though that being said, automation on the machines where they can run parts without me is still a big goal of mine, because I do want to keep Audacity going, pretty much indefinitely. Audacity right now is basically a shop on the Subtract vendor network, which actually brings me back to this chunk of pure iron. This was from a Subtract job, and not a job that I did. This job was originally run by EJ of Nocturnal Welding. These parts are being used for some sort of like magnetic application or something, I don't really know. But when I saw this material roll through the Subtract system, I had to get my hands on some. So I asked EJ to send me an offcut if he had any left so that I could play with it on YouTube. And we should probably get back to that. All right, let's do our first test cut here. Materials in soft jaws, 1/2 inch, 5 flute, I think from Haas Tools. This tool is subtract tool number 164, running our standard speeds and feeds. For facing, that is 600 SFM and 1.2 thou feed per tooth. Our depth of cut is only about 5 thou here, but will vary depending on how flatly that piece of material was cut. I think the camera is making the surface finish actually look worse than it is, but this is a very good finish. You can see the reflection of my finger there. My Android phone is trying to kind of over sharpen this here, but it is very, very smooth to the touch, nice and shiny. Looking pretty good. We do have like some of those little face marks that you get in like a 1018 steel a lot, but I think it actually cuts better than 1018. I think with a really sharp tool and some experimentation, you could get this thing to be basically a mirror. Though again, it is very smooth to the touch. Cutting a mild steel like a 1018 sometimes gets very gummy, and it's not always easy to get a super nice finish on it. I thought this would be that, but a lot worse, and it's actually not. I would say it's probably going to be easier to get a good finish on this compared to something like 1018. Now I know. Well, we have the material in here, and I think we might as well make something out of it, and there's only one thing we could possibly make out of it. And there we have it. That is a pure iron ingot. If you don't know what this is, that's fine. Not everyone yearns for the mines, but sometimes I do. I'm going to give this away to a YouTube channel member. So if you're a YouTube channel member, watch out for a channel members only post. You will have to be in the US to be able to get it. And if I have enough material, which I think I should, I'll go ahead and make at least one more, maybe two more. That way you can make it into a pickaxe, but we'll see how much I get out of there. If you need silly game props machined for you or real world parts that are actually useful for something, check out subtractmanufacturing.com. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.